Hey everyone, welcome to The Switch. It's a podcast about people within breaking and hip hop that turned their passion into a career. And someone that I've admired for a while, Babygirl from Bgirl City, I think has done that in a very exemplary way. You know, you took your passion for this dance and for this culture. Outside of like the great event, you deal in nonprofit. You bring community together, and that's kind of what you're known for. Is you're like this beacon within our scene that like you reach out. Like you've worked with me, you reached out to me, like you put me on blast when you kind of like had me on live with Bgirl City. There's a lot of things that I really, really appreciate that you do for the culture. And I also got to experience some of your your gift giving. So just want to give you your flowers and just let you know that we acknowledge you for who you are and what you do in the scene. And there's a reason that I really wanted you here. Those are all those reasons.
Oh, thank you so much. That's for real. Like you're gonna make me cry already. Like I'm an emotional being and I take
TBD.
words like that so deep in depth with me. And I that's what keeps my fire going. And I appreciate that so much. And it's just to hear it, it's always I'm grateful for it. So thank you.
Of course.
You know what's interesting? Felix usually doesn't do the intros like that in deep. Like that's the first time he's ever gotten that deep and so meaningful with it. I'm actually really surprised. You should do the intros more often, Felix. I really like that.
Well,
Wow.
I think we get to kind of bounce off each other because we basically the way this works is we'll suggest guests.
Mhm.
He said like Louis suggested Ronnie, and then he suggested ATM. I suggested Roxright, and MG. And like this is our fifth episode, and it was my turn, and I already knew like I wanted you to for this episode.
Oh,
It
that's
was-
dope.
yeah,
Maybe because I'm a girl. I
you
brought
are
this
a first
softness.
girl.
I brought
You are
this
a
Yeah.
first
softness out,
girl.
you know what I mean? I have that. I kind of have that, Midas touch.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. It's
Everything
true.
turns to gold. Well, I know this episode is going to be gold already just from the way we started. For those of you that don't know, did a great introduction for Babygirl, but I am El Prod. My name is Luis. I run the social media for Break Connect, and I'm joined with my co-host Felix, who is the CEO of Break Connect. As he already mentioned, we've got Babygirl in this digital space with us today, and we're here to talk about everything that she does. Felix kind of touched a little bit on it, but nothing is surface level here. We go in deep. We make sure to cover all of our bases, and that's what we're here to do. So let's start from the very beginning. Babygirl, tell us a little bit about what got you into breaking.
First of all, I'm scared. No, just kidding.
Don't
No.
be, I
Well,
promise it'll be smooth.
all right, we're gonna find out, right? We're gonna find out
We're gonna
today.
find
But
out.
thank y'all both so much, first and foremost, for having me on. I am truly grateful. Again, like I was kind of mentioning, I don't really do podcasts and do interviews too much. I get very nervous at hearing my voice back. But aside of that, um, being a part of the culture, the community, and all these different platforms is really vital and very important to me because I just, remember being that kid that, didn't speak to people. I was very shy growing up, and I've been through a lot of things as a little kid, a little girl, and, it was just amusing to me, like how hard it was for me just to open my mouth and say anything. Like I couldn't talk to my parents. I couldn't any of that stuff. But yeah, I got into breaking, fast forward, all of that. Those are all like trauma talks and stuff, therapy talks, but I'm sure we'll kind of get into that. We'll see. But I got into breaking, my older brother was a B-boy. He's a couple years older than me, about 7 years older. So when I was about, I don't know, somewhere in between 8 and 10, I don't really recall, but somewhere around that, was very, very young. It was in the 80s. All the guys from the neighborhood, my home in the neighborhood was kind of a safe haven. So all the guys that lived in the neighborhood came to my house all the time. And I recall them all breaking on the side of my house. There was like a huge lot next door to it where the house like kind of burnt down. And so they would come with the cardboards and breaking next to my house. And I also saw breaking, obviously, I was so in tune with TV. If I wasn't outside playing, getting hurt and getting stitches and playing with the guys and stuff, I was watching MTV or, you know, whatever was on TV. And I saw Beach Street on TV for the first time and stuff like that. So that's how I got introduced to it. And then fast forward, you know, just kind of lost touch. Obviously, I was just a kid, you know, as I got into really hardcore into the streets, you know, had a kid very early on. I was about 16 when I had him. And I knew, obviously, I had to like clean my life up for him. And dancing was always like this thing that I could be a ham with in front of my family because I could never get attention. My parents are always working. Everybody was mad older than all of my dad's kids. We're the youngest. He's the youngest. So everybody was super older than us. My uncle was a vinyl collector. You know, we always have parties at his crib. And I just remember doing, you know, one kicks and donkey kicks. And I was into the New Jack era, doing those types of moves. I was hardcore into ticking, and which the girls cause, whatever they call shaking their ass moves and stuff. But I was hardcore into ticking. And I was just a dancer. I was just a music lover. And my uncle played vinyl. My dad's a Motown. My mom's Tejano. So that was kind of like music was always in the home. My mom cooking, making tortillas, hearing music. So it was just kind of my playground, you know, was dancing and just trying to get their attention. So I just recall doing these moves at some of my parents' and family's parties. And that's when people would be like, oh, look at Erika, mira, like just being like getting their attention. So it's kind of really like the forefront of music and dance that got me involved in trying to clean myself up and be a better mom.
Yeah, that's a very talented family you have. You're naming off all their little talents here. I like that. That's what we're here for. Like I said, we're here to get in depth. It's cool to hear that you started really young. For a lot of people, that does seem to be the case. And it's crazy because being young when you start, it's almost like you never expect it to go like to the level that you take it as an adult, right?
Right.
So at what point did you start thinking to yourself like, whoa, like this is bigger than just like this lot next to my house where everybody's practicing. Like I want to pursue the community aspect of it all.
Oh my God, that came way later. I mean, as I started to, you know, get down and going to a lot of parties around, you know, the city, which of course I'm born and raised and bred right here in Houston, Texas.
All right.
So, you know, obviously we have our hometown heroes, have it Coro. What's crazy is I'm from the north end of Houston, Texas, but my mom's from Second Ward, which is the south end of Texas, or Houston, excuse me. And I remember going to just a lot of lowrider shows, car shows. You know, I would take my backpack with me, just be ready to throw down. If I was dressed, you know, girly, then I had some shorts I can throw over my windbreaker pants or my Adidas or whatever, like just to throw down. But yeah, it was like got influenced by a lot of, it's like I feel like I was chosen to be a part of the culture because I was so, I guess being from the hood and being from the inner cities, I was so around it all the time. So whether I was coming to Second Ward and going to this place called TBH, or I was going to YA, which is a youth advocate. It's a community center organization that helps with juvenile justice and stuff. I was just around it, surrounded by all the time, like growing up. As I started to get older, it wasn't until later till I took it serious, and understood like what I was doing and for me, it was never about the battle. It was always about the cipher and just being around people that I could be safe around. That I wasn't out on the streets gang banging and doing dumb shit or getting into fights or just getting in trouble. For me, it was definitely a different story. It wasn't about like getting better to improve to battle. It was just
Mhm.
the battle was for me is to not get in trouble, not go to jail, not go to juvenile, be a better mom for my kid. Like that's literally what that was for me. So just yeah, it's a little bit of that.
That's a different type of battle altogether that a lot
Yeah.
of people go through in different ways, right? So it's interesting to hear like what that origin was for you. I know that just by kind of doing my research, like you're so involved in not just like breaking, but in so many different communities. It seems like you are bred through so many different aspects of culture.
Mhm.
And I'm just so fascinated because you do so much, like you obviously have Bgirl City, iconic event. You have literally put Houston on the map and people come specifically for your event. But not only that, you do, I believe, a flea market, right? Like you also have a space in the graffiti scene. Like you are so connected. Um, and we want to touch base on all of that. But before we do that, I think it's important to recognize like influences, right? Like who are some people that might have influenced you along the way in any of these communities that kind of got you thinking like, yo, like I could be a leader here.
I never thought I could be a leader. I will tell you that. Even to this day, that word leader, it cringes me sometimes because that comes with a lot. You know what I mean? A responsibility that just being a mom is a lot. So taking that on, and that's how I kind of look at things as a mom. I treat things as I treat my children. I don't right your wrongs, you know, things of that nature. But the influences for me, I think one of the biggest ones was not only just the guys that were dancing around me, because there's so many dancers that were so dope that before I saw, you know, Havoc Core, there was Winos and there was my God, I'm gonna draw a blank, of course, for sure, because there's just so many. We have so many dancers, the different style, kind of like the Circle of Fire era,
Mhm.
that style, like the hip hop mixed into the house with the breaking. Like that was a lot of my era coming up in the scene. It wasn't just straight break, you know what I mean? Until I saw Havoc and Coral and all of them, United B Boys, 3D. But I think my biggest influence when I saw the Honey Rockwell VHS. That video right there did it for me. That was the video that I saw other B girls doing the damn thing. Here locally, we probably had maybe two or three at the time I was coming up. And, you know, when I would see another female do their thing, for me, that like just made my heart burst so hardcore. Um, you know, I'm a child of six other kids, three boys, three girls, and then I have my little sister. You know, my mom's always been a woman's woman. You know, she's always helped all the girls in the family. She's such an amazing woman. She never like dissed another woman. Growing up, I never heard my mom like the way Mexicana women are. She was not like that. She was so different. So honestly, like it was just seeing the women persevere, you know, be strong in who they are and their words and what they're about. You know, to me, it's always about like action over words, you know. So yeah, that was really my influences aside of just all the crews that were around me coming up, you
Mhm.
know. And
So
by that time, my brother already stopped breaking too. So
Okay.
yeah.
I wanted to touch on that real quick because when you were talking about like the scene earlier,
Sorry,
one
my
thing,
doggy's
no,
barking.
that's okay, all good. I
Babe.
I was curious about like female influence, just because, you know, the time that you started and the time that you were getting into it and going to all these different events. And I love that you said Havoc and Coro, because one of my first tapes, VHS tapes, was the Out for Fame double tape,
Mhm.
and it had Havoc and it had Coro. And I remember I went to practice that night back in New York, and I went to like, you know, and I was like at that point I was only breaking for maybe 2, maybe 3 years.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, I just watched the Afro Fame tape, and like it was Havoc and then it was Coro, and then somebody's like, you mean Havoc Coro? I was like, no, it's Havoc and Coro. They're two separate crews. Like, no, it's the same crew. Like, no, I know what I saw. Anyways, I was curious about like the female influences. So when you said Honey Rockwell, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And the fact that you said that there was only like two or three other B girls in the scene, and I think that's such a crazy thing because Texas is big.
Yeah.
It's a big state. I've been to Texas a bunch of times, and every time I go, especially outside of Austin, because Austin I felt is almost like a lie. You know, it's like, yeah, come to Texas, come to Austin. We're Texas. But then you come, you're like, oh my God, everything is so close. But in Houston, because I've been to Houston too, and holy crap, like the driving an hour is basically table stakes anywhere almost. And I remember being like, this is insane. Why is everything so far? Because there's just so much land. So to be a B girl in the 80s, early 90s, going to these jams, to travel, and I'm sure like I feel like the distance to get to these places was not close. And
Mhm.
then I'm assuming that all the different B girls probably lived in different places.
Yeah.
So you're like by yourself, until you go to an event where you may have someone to connect with on a very specific level.
Yep.
So like I really, really like that. Like we got to kind of like touch on that.
Yeah, that's exactly how it was. Like literally, you know what I mean? And it was the same thing as you hear now, the B-boys or the crews that had the one girl in there or whatever, like pinning the other girl against the other girl. You know, we're not nice to each other those years, you know what I'm saying? So just like the streets, you look at somebody 2 minutes too long, you're like, what's up? You know what I mean? So I never got called out, to be honest. I was told a lot of times people were supposed to call me out. I'll be ready to go and niente, nothing. So I felt like I was definitely a strong B girl at my time. I had power, had crab walk to windmill, like I had 90s, I had dope ass freezes. I just never was one to jump in the battles as far as like, I mean, obviously back then we didn't have judges. It was just straight ciphers. That's my shit is just
Yeah.
jumping in a cipher. Even to this day, I can't do the things that I used to. I have two torn meniscus in both my knees. I mean, I have crazy arthritis. It's just, I can't. That's why I dipped into a lot, I think, of this other levels of the culture and the community, but for me, it was just jumping in those ciphers and whatnot. But yeah, that was the hard part. It was not seeing them. But so when I did see another B girl, I did not want to battle her. Like I wanted to be like, yo, what's up? Yo, like, hi, I'm here. You know what I mean? So I made sure I cracked a smile to let them know, like I'm not here to like. In that, I always look like a damn thug. So um, I'm not here to like battle you. Like let's go battle some guys together, type of shit. You know?
Yeah.
It's that that is all part of your story because it also your mission nowadays. Like you are in a position where you are empowering women and now it's you're creating a space. So you came from an era where it was like one or two B girls, maybe at best. But now you see so many attending your event and also just around the United States. And
Yeah.
in a way, like your influence led to that. You know, Bgirl City's been on the map for years. I think it's been a decade now, right? Officially.
Yes. Yep.
Look at that. Wow. Congratulations, by the way. That's an
Thank you.
accomplishment. I don't think a
Thank
lot
you.
of people can say anything that they've done for a decade, you know?
Yeah.
That's nuts. But
Yeah.
yeah, you definitely paved the way for a lot of B-girls to be at a higher platform. And in my opinion, like that was so essential to keep the game going at the level that it is now and even further. There's so much talent out there in the scene for B-girls, and just in general, like the scene needs more spaces like that.
Yeah.
So I want to know a little bit about the story. Like, what made you decide to want to create an event specifically titled B-Girl City, knowing that there was a B-Boy City also that was really famous already in
You're gonna
Texas?
love this story. You're gonna love this story.
I'm here for it.
First and
I'm here for
first
it.
and foremost, it is a beautiful time for women in the culture, all levels of it, any element of it. Also, the backstory to some of what you see now. Not being in the forefront, being in the back. Like it doesn't matter where you're at in the community or in the culture, like and what you're doing. There's a place for you in every space. Whether you're a photographer, videographer, somebody that's documenting, whether it's somebody that's handling administrative work within these events. A lot of like I was a nurse for 14 years, so a lot of like being connected to my patients has been a big part of how I'm connected to other people and how I speak to them and how just be forthcoming, open hand, hug, and just be there for women. You know what I mean? Like that was very vital to who I am right now, very vital to who my mother was to me growing up. And so for me, like that's the thing. I think, when I would go to this community center we have down here, I did not fail to not shake not one person's hand in that room. Like you were going to be known that I see you in there. You know what I mean? So it didn't matter who you were, what style you were doing. Like I just wanted to go and shake every single buddy's hand before I would start practicing or, whether I start ciphering or whatever I was doing at community night. And so like fast forward, seeing what we see now, I do feel like there's a little bit there is a little bit that I hold very, very, very close to my heart that I did have a small piece of in doing that for here in the U.S., especially now that we're getting women from outside of the U.S. coming in. But the story begins. The story begins is that I met this amazing, dope B-girl out of Austin, Texas. She goes by the name of D Nice. She's still my friend to this day. We still message each other. She still sends me crazy memes, and we keep track like literally on a daily basis. She sends me like 3 or 4 memes every day, just cracking me up, laughing. She's the most dopest chick, like that was very inviting, like myself. You know what I mean? Again, other girls weren't that nice. She was nice, so it's dope that her name is D Nice. But the funny story is that, well, I guess it's not a funny story. The story is that she did help with the production of B-Boy City, and she was Romeo Navarro's partner at the time. So they were together for a couple years until she actually created Bgirl City itself, and so she produced the first 3 Bgirl Cities. The first one started in 2005.
Okay.
So that's where the story begins. The story begins with her. And she'd be at B-Boy City, like working the door. I mean, you see this girl running around with her head cut off. It wasn't just her, it was my girl Jazzy, which is my best friend.
Shout out to Jazz.
Yes.
We know Jazz.
Yep.
Yeah, we hung out with her last time we were there.
Yep.
That's my G right there. And then B-Girl Lucky, which is to me, those were the other 3 other Texas B-girls besides myself. And it took us a while before we actually got cool and tight with one another. I was out here in Houston, they're out in Austin. They always helped with B-Boy City on the come up in the first couple of years. I remember coming out pretty much by 2000. I think B-Boy City 11 is the start of my years going to B-Boy City. And I would go every year ever since. That was like that's my freestyle session to Texas type of situation, right? But yeah, no, she produced 2005. I was there. 2006, I was there. I judged as well. And then I think she did one more in 2000, either the end of 2006 or the early 2007. And that specific one she actually did in New York at the Bronx Museum with Honey Rockwell and with Rockefeller. And then unfortunately, she obviously, moved on with her life. And, there was a 10 or 11 year hiatus on it. And I had been still hardcore in the breaking scene. I have my clothing brand. I would always post up at every single event out in Texas. That's pretty much as far as I would go. I would only be San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, just our surrounding little cities and whatnot, and in our hometown as well. And then I got tired. I got tired of not seeing other girls stay. I was trying to figure out, like, what is it? What's the problem here? Like, why aren't they staying? Why? I have a lot of reasons why I think we have those issues, why the U.S. women don't stay or whatnot. I think that's changing, and I'm so grateful for it, because now women are believing in themselves and believing in what we have here. Now they do have a place to call their own. So just to back up a little bit, there was a time where, again, I got tired of not seeing them, and I was like trying to remember, like, when was the time I was at a jam that I just felt so damn free. And it was at Bgirl City. Like, I've been to a lot of jams at that point, but to be at Bgirl City with other girls, seeing the other girls get down, like, it was dope to me. And so I was like, I called her up. I had a conversation with her, and the thing she said to me, which I hold very, very close to my heart to this day, is she's like, "Baby girl, I wouldn't give it to anybody else but you, because I know you're going to hold it down and take it to the next level. So do what you do with it. And yes, you can have the name." So I took it over. She passed the torch to me. You know what I mean? So I'm keeping something very strong that she started. So to me, it's like passing that torch, sisterhood. Like, I feel like it's a real, like, dope story that I can share with other girls to know, like, yo, we can do this together. You can pass the torch. You can be proud of your sister, and you can cheer on one another. And that doesn't dim your light, doesn't dim anything about what you're going to do and how you're going to move. If anything, it makes it more stronger, and it shows other women that we could do the same thing together.
That is not what I expected in that story. I didn't know that it started through someone else. Shout out, really, honestly. Like,
Yes.
there is definitely a lot to be said for someone to trust you with their vision to improve it, right? And to make it as big as it is today. Maybe that wasn't the original vision, but look at it now, right? Like,
Oh,
It
it
is a
was. Believe
staple
that.
event. There we go,
It
visionary.
was. I literally told myself, I saved my money for 3 years, you know, for 3 years before, like having that conversation with her when I finally got down to like, what am I going to name this event? It was 3 years preparation, 3 years of income tax, you know, just going in the bank, don't touching
Yeah.
it. And finally, I told myself when I do this and when it gets to the level that I want it to, it's going to be the biggest Bgirl event, you know, in the US. It's going to be the freestyle session of Bgirl City. Like that's how much I have respect for freestyle session and Cross and what he's done and how international people, excuse me, B-boys and B-girls come out, you know, for that. So yeah,
Yeah, and
I
it's
knew it
at
was going
that
to be a
level.
game changer for sure.
100% game changer, huh? That's the name of our upcoming event.
Hey,
So
Um,
it's,
the name of
got
the
him.
event.
That's the gotcha that you were
we should do
expecting.
a shot game every time we said game changer with nobody
Imagine.
here.
Oh, that'd be fun. Um, but yeah, no, it's really crazy to see that the vision was always to be at where we're at now. Now that you have accomplished 10 years and you can look back on all of those years, what is one of the biggest lessons that you learned through doing an event like Bgirl City?
Oh, biggest lesson, biggest. I think I got my biggest lesson this year, to be honest with you.
Really? Tell me
Yeah.
about it.
Oh man. Um, you know, I took I took a lot of pride in knowing that we ran this event very smoothly, that the timing for it was on point. This was my 10-year anniversary of myself consecutively throwing Bgirl City. And, you know, for me, it should have been a celebration, but I understand that when you do these events or any event you do, you know, you carry that weight. And two things happened. One, there was just a lot of unfortunate things that went on with the venue, and you know, getting a text or something like every hour on the hour is it's annoying, and that's just not the type of collaborative support you want from a place you're doing some working with, right? But I
Right.
love them completely, but you know, it was just a lot, you know, and leading up to that was a lot. So we ended up we went overtime. And again, taking pride in what you do as far as having things so sufficiently logistically like on point all the time. Everything I do that I've ever done aside of Big Girl City and the hip hop, like everything I've ever done, like I like to make sure that logistics are 110 on point, and it wasn't this year. So this was my biggest lesson. And I think, you know, I ran around like talking mad shit. Like, I could be at an event, be like, this is me just being raw and transparent, but I could be at events sometimes and just like can't understand why it's like, why is this taking so long or whatever the case may be. And yo, I got a slap in my face this year. You know what I'm saying? So reality check, it can happen. And now you know why now I know why something can go just pass you up in 2 hours and you're just like, holy shit, that just happened. You know what I mean? So straight up, don't ever like be cocky in your own self and get ahead of yourself and think that it can't happen to you. So that was my biggest freaking lesson this year for sure.
I think that's the realest answer we've had on the podcast up to this point in all 5 interviews that we've done. But that's the truth, right? Like
It is.
it always takes just one time to set you like off the rails to
Yeah.
understand like what could happen for anybody else.
100 for sure, for sure. Now I know, and I will never talk shit, talk shit again. What I have done though is through the years is I'll just kind of if I'm at a jam just to be at a jam and have fun and be there, and I do see something like kind of happening, I do kind of be like if I'm friends with the promoter or
Right.
something, I do jump in there and be like, yo, is there anything I could do? Like what you need, you know, type of shit. Like that's just me automatically. So
We got to help one another, a
we
hundred
do
percent.
completely.
Um,
We have to.
on the bright side, it took you 10 years to have one major lesson like this. So I think that's a pretty good track record,
I think so too. I'm gonna take that. Thank you. Yes, yes. I now I feel better about it, but at the time, man, I went literally hermit mode after Big Girl City. Like I couldn't. It hurt me. It hurt me. Like I'm an empath hardcore, so I
Feel
take
that.
that shit so deeply with me, and I felt so bad, you know, because B girls that there's a few B girls that like made it to the top 16 bracket, and you know we had to change it to the next day, and that call I did not take lightly. It sucked to have to make that call, and But again, like I was going big because it was my tenure of throwing it. So next year we're not doing that. You know, you
Lesson
obviously
learned.
have pros and cons, and you fix the problem, and you just keep going and you keep moving. You know why you did what you did, and you know, wholeheartedly I can say I didn't do it because I wanted to. It was just something that had to be done.
Oh, I completely understand. I have experienced the hermit mode myself. And we've talked about this, I've talked about this with Luis before, but like there was a freestyle session where there was a technical issue with Break Connect, and as soon as I realized what happened, I wanted to find a closet and just stay there until the event was over.
That
Um,
was me. That was me. I definitely disconnected in a moment. I remember, I think at some point, you know, we're at a brewery. So at some point I was like, somebody give me a fucking beer. Like I need a beer to calm the fuck down
It's,
because it was already, woof, yeah.
there.
I would say this to anybody listening, yo, get those logistics 100 and, you know, have two people on your timer watching what's happening. Any mistakes, have a second and a third protocol, what to do. Normally we do, we didn't this year for whatever reason. And yeah,
Live and learn, as they say. Live and learn.
Luis, we
for
should
sure.
probably have those protocols.
Well, I
For
gave
the
you my strategy plan. I think it was in there.
you did, no, no, you actually did your strategy plan.
So what's interesting to me also though is that like now we're at this 10-year mark. We can look towards the future. We can assume that there's probably going to be another 10 years of Bgirl City. But I think what you haven't mentioned yet is where along the way did it become a nonprofit? Like when did you
Mhm.
decide to like make it it's a true like organization, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Um, So it was in about I think 2016 where I created. I didn't know how to do none of this stuff. You know, I had been going to a youth center for forever, for two
Mhm.
decades. It's been around for. It's called Youth Advocates. It's not called Revision. A lot of us in Houston, that's like our home base. So being around them and what they've done for me in my life, like getting me on track and helping me get my GED and doing all these things. So all the wonderful things that they do outside of what you see as a practice spot for us. Really instilled in me understanding why and how I want to give back to our community as well. So to me, it was like nonprofit, for profit, you know, understanding what LLC is, all these things. And at the time, you know, I had a great job. Again, I was a medical assistant in OBGYN care. So I was making a lot of money. And so I wanted to make sure that I started something that where we're going to be able to start, whether it's workshops or giving back or something that the community would never have to pay for. So we're paying for the instructors. If we're creating scholarships for anybody, like whatever the case may be, that was going to be the way we were going to be able to give back. And um, I did a 4 year one at first. No, it was 3 years. So they give you options. You could do a startup kind of one, and then you could do actually a longer term one that's 10, and there's like a 20-year one. I didn't know what to expect, so I went with the shorter one, and it was like a 3 year one, if I'm not mistaken. So I only had it for a couple years, and but at that time I was working. My kids were barely getting into that teenage year. They were in every sport you can think of. I kept them busy. My older boy was in AAU. I mean, you name it. I was that mom that got my kids busy. So I didn't use it to the best of that I could at the time. So at some point, it kind of ran its course. Then we had started getting new members into Bgirl City that wanted to help organize. And fast forward, we applied a couple years ago, and I couldn't get it. It was just difficult. A lot of things had changed within these damn presidents, and just a lot of stuff in the government and federal and taxes and all this stuff that you got to look into. Having the right grant writer, someone to make your bylaws, like it's a lot of work. And you know, but you can educate yourself on it, and I did that throughout the years. So I think it wasn't the right time for a reason. Alignment is everything, timing is everything. So fast forward, sometime last year, I lost my job. I was working for nonprofit juvenile justice and for a couple years, and they lost some funding. So I got let go, was one of the people that got let go there. And it was so sad for me. You know, it was is my heart and soul. And it was just like, shit, what am I going to do? Like, I didn't have no plan. You know, my plan is always me at the end of the day. There's nothing I can fall back on, but it was a great job too. And I loved it. So much passion and heart that, you know, you put into that type of work. It's not easy type of work. And I was going to prisons every first Friday, seeing kids that have been convicted for 10 plus years. So, you know, you keep your feet grounded in this shit. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't nothing different that I see myself grow up and be a part of and be around and do and get in trouble. So still the plan is the same, right? Still the same. We have, I finally reapplied and, you know, A1 helped me so much. That's my fiance, Supreme Beans. And if it wasn't for him helping me understand, like he's a tech guy. And so he knows like all this stuff. Like he's so smart. He's so smart. Thank God for him. But he helped me get it. And we got our 501c3 status back running. And I think all of it happened for a reason. Losing my job, I had to learn how to teach myself a lot of things when it came to, like, let's just say Microsoft, Google Sheets, Google Workspace, all these things that people, you need to learn how to do and make sure you know. I had relied on a lot of my team and stuff to do a lot of those things. You know, I was a case manager, but it's all this stuff is totally different when you dip into like verbiage and how you do your sheet setups and all these things. So yeah, we finally have it now. And I learned in the midst of all of that, it's been about almost close to a year that I haven't been with that nonprofit. So within all that time, I had been learning how to do everything from everything I just mentioned. And now I'm fully ready to go full fledged. And so right now, it's like a matter of understanding the event versus the organization. And now how are we going to run these classes? What is it going to look like? Creating, you know, everything that we can do for whether it's after school programming. I mean, it's right now, I feel like I'm just starting all over again, really to bring the foundation and the organization to what it needs to be a great running organization as far as nonprofit work.
You covered some of the points that I was even going to go into. That was a great answer. You're ahead of the game here. What really fascinates me about the work that you do is that it's not just breaking centric. You talk a little bit about how you have to separate the event and what the organization does.
Right.
But what you haven't really talked about is everything else that you do under the Bgirl City like brand, right? The umbrella. Just off the top of my head, I know that you have your graffiti collective for women, right? I think it's called WritHERS Bench, but it's like
WritHERS
hers,
Bench.
right? Hers Bench. Yeah, there we go. See, I did my research.
You did. Get it,
and when you've got two communities like that I mean are all under the hip hop umbrella, you know, the four elements, but I think for a lot of people, they don't immediately make that connection.
Right.
What does that look like working as like the organizer for Bgirl City and that team, and then going over to WritHERS Bench and like organizing things there? Is it similar? Is it different? How do you tie them together?
Oh, is it similar or is it different? That's a great question. It's not different. Anything how I treat it, first and foremost. I give it the respect it deserves, honoring the past, present, and future, no matter what. Graffiti has been a part of my life since I remember. My boy's father is a graffiti writer. And so 20 plus years, you know, been around it. Every single pretty much B-boy from my era has either been a part of, turned into a graffiti writer, maybe doesn't B-boy no more during those years as years have passed on, as well as DJing. A lot of my DJ homies right now are guys that I grew up in the scene and ciphering with. So there was this thing back in the day in our early 90s, like 97, somewhere around there, called WritHERS Bench. It was just a spot in downtown that all the graffiti writers would show up. It's like a little meetup. My homage to that was to my boy Skis and the things that he's done for graffiti here in Houston. He's still around. To me, he's my OG. and he's a dope dude, mentor. He's always been cool as fuck, and to me, that was me paying homage to him and all the writers that risk their life doing what they do. I just respect it so much. Like me, I like everything. I can house a little bit. I can do this, but I would never call myself a master of any of those things. But I do know how to do graffiti pretty good. I used to go bombing back in the days as well. Like I remember hitting up rooftops, pregnant with my second kid, loca, doing crazy shit, you know. So
What?
yeah, bro. I remember it was like this one dope big warehouse, man. We just climbed a tree, got on top of that mug, and I did a big ass throwy on there, and the
You say
challenge was
pregnant,
getting
like
off.
how pregnant? Like which trimester were you
I
in?
think I was in my second trimester.
Damn.
Okay,
Yo, I
that's
did stupid shit when I was pregnant. Yeah, it was horrible.
Climbing a tree is crazy.
Yeah,
Hey, but that's part of the experience, right? You know,
yeah.
you got to commit
It's
to it
what it is,
100%.
yo. It is what it is. This is the thing, right? Living and learning what you've done, what you want to share with the kids that are coming up now, what not to do. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. But also you could be like, I was kind of badass actually.
Yeah, that was pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, for sure. And I just wanted to make sure that, just like anything else, calling it WritHERS Bench was homage to Writer's Bench, but also a place that now we need a safe space for women. You could go to a graffiti jam, and it's fucking it's like it's bad. They're better now. Don't get me wrong. Like, but back in the day, coming up and going to graffiti jams, man, everybody's getting fucked up. You know, just just crazy. Just I wanted to know like there was girls getting into it, and had a safe space and something that they can go and be a part of because there's so many dope artists everywhere, and if Right Hers Bench could be something that's inspiring the next community or the next city, um, you know, take the name, do one in your community and create a safe space for other girls there. We need that. These guys are like leeches and shit.
That's real though. That's so real. I think that's important to also have space for women in other aspects of the hip hop culture.
Yeah.
Um, and it's super cool that you are also leading the way in that. I mean, I've come back to this point so many times in this episode, but you have paved the way in so many different avenues. We just touched on two, but on top of that, I think you also have a brand, you've got a flea market, you've got so much going on. How do you even manage to prioritize everything accordingly?
Um, I think a lot of my experience being in the medical field has someone that gave me the space to understand, like being, what's the word I'm looking for? Let me, it's funny because actually this is my whiteboard.
Very blurry,
See?
very blurry whiteboard.
This is, yeah, it's in my desk, on my desk, right in front of my face, organized. You have to be organized in anything that you do. I also, it's so funny because for 3 years I worked at a five-star hotel and I was a manager of Journeys for 3 years as well. I tell kids, no matter where you work, that experience is going to go with you everywhere. So everything I've ever done in my life, I worked every job. I'll tell you that. McDonald's, Sonic, shoe store, Cece's Pizza. I mean, everything I've ever done has led me to this day. So I feel like all of that. Well, one, I have OCD now. Being a nurse, I can wash my hands like 20 times a day. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. I just being organized, just, what I'm saying? Like create your day, what you feel like, you need it to be to get the job done. So to me, it's like being organized is so vital to how you get things done and how you reach your goals. So yeah, writing stuff down, like even right here, my notebook, I write stuff down all day. My iPad right here, my computer right here, like gotta get it done.
All the tools to stay organized, huh?
Yeah.
One of the things that I think a lot of people don't talk about openly that is so important to being essentially an entrepreneur and a leader of multiple avenues. I know we touched on this with MG when we had him on the episode, but having a support system, having a team, having people that can help you accomplish everything is so
100.
important. What
Yes.
does your support system look like? Who's involved? Who's part of your team?
For sure, for sure. If it wasn't for the people that jumped in when they did at these moments throughout all these years, I would not be here doing what I'm doing right now. This was definitely, I don't matter how selfless, where the money came from, like whatever the case may be, it was the people that jumped in, whether it was them even coming to the event just to support it, you know what I mean? But my team itself, there's been a lot of people throughout the years that have definitely helped and shaped what you see today and instilled in me, like me being a better person, me trying to be a better leader, me these people are like everything to me. So just in general, like the first Bgirl City, when I talked about bringing it back, I had a relationship with La Katrina, and she's out of Wisconsin and then moved to Chicago. But they threw an event for 10 years, her and Man of God, and I met her at the right time. She was already organized. Again, they already been organizing their event. I can't think of the name right now. Um, and meeting her, and then obviously through the years, I met like Maka and JK47, Cindy and Candy from Child of the Culture, Asia One, obviously me being a part of MZK, being around Moy, being around Omar. um, these are all like the influences and people that really instilled what you see today. But my team, it started off with Katrina. I invited Maka because she was like one of the freshest at the time. Like I'm a top rocker and a rocker, like that's my shit right there. So when I seen Maka the first time, I was like, oh shit, I need her at Bgirl City, the first one. She taught a workshop, but like she made a call. Next thing you know, it was like, people came. It was a free event. Bgirl City was free for the first 2 years. And so, it grew from there. But then the following, so I did it by myself the first year, like straight up by myself, and majority of it by myself the second year. Then my close friend that I met through the community center that I'm talking about, also now she's my boy Jesse from Havoc Coral's wife. She became one of my closest friends, and she was like, girl, you doing all this shit by yourself? I was like, yeah. She's like, let me help you. So she came in on the second year and helped me. Then by the third year, next thing you know, I have a team. I had my girl Eva, Gigi. I reached out to Clear. She's a graffiti writer. She ran like kind of helping with that section. Cindy and Candy have been there from the jump. They helped me with logistics, trying to figure out, how to do certain things. Obviously D Nice getting with me and, just letting me know, like, here's some basically like old flyers, things you kind of go off of, but do what you do with it. So yeah, I mean, it was just, it all led up to my team right now. My team right now is my girl, La Cindy. She's a houser. She was a judge at my first Bgirl City. Fast forward, she wanted to be a part of it and give back as well. And she's dope at what she does outside of dance as well. So she does a lot of our administrative stuff and keeps it organized. She is my brain when my brain doesn't work right. My girl Gabby, that is she's so dope. She's assisted Cindy because there's just so much to be done. She's that's Beast's sister, Beast Boogie. And so she's been a part of the scene for a long ass time, growing up in the scene. So she knows what's up. And then of course Jazzy, the best friend, she's been down with Bgirl City of the last 3 years as well. And then fast forward, we got Beast down with Bgirl City as well. I think he's going on 2 years now with us. I respect Beast so much because, Beast was probably one of the only B-boys from back in the day that was throwing a B-girl category in his event. He was actually one of the only ones that I remember throwing a B-girl category in his events. So when he told me he wanted to be down with what we were doing, and I was like, why not? It's still woman led, but he runs our Break City Battle League. And I get a lot of input from him because he's obviously involved in the culture and in the community and different other communities as well. So he makes sense. And of course, A1, he is basically like Bgirl City DJ, hip hop market DJ. He's also just again so smart. He's so smart. He helped me with all the logistics when it comes to getting all this important government stuff done. And so it's just, yeah, it's a whole team effort, man. And we also have Lachey. She's new to Bgirl City. She's been down for about a year now. She's a dope dancer. She's running some of our programs called She Ill Sessions. And these are just free workshops for girls in different styles of dance. And she's doing the damn thing. Her brother's Prince Wayne. So they're like really hardcore involved in what we do. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I'm just trying to make sure I don't forget nobody. Yeah, that
It
should
takes
be
a
it.
village, you know.
Yeah, it does. It really, really does. And that's aside the people that volunteer, my boy
Yeah.
Mondo and his wife, Marie, like they're amazing. They come through. My boy Drew, he's been a part of the Houston breaking scene for a long time. He'll come through and volunteer. And there's people always down to volunteer and just be a part of the day and day-to-day events and stuff like that. So
Shout out to everybody involved. That seems like a really good, strong team that you built over the years.
yeah, for sure. It's definitely strong. I want to tell people, like, don't think that you have to necessarily have just dancers a part of your team. Everybody has a strength of their own. A lot of
Yeah.
times at the events, it's actually harder to have dancers in your team because everybody wants to go cypher after a while. They're gonna leave their post and go cypher. So that was one of the things I told Felix when he was talking about doing the event. I was like, yo, make sure you do have volunteers that aren't like, I said, get a job form, create a volunteer sheet, send it out to the college. There's college kids that need some intern volunteer hours, like, get them involved. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah.
All it takes is for the right song to come on and they're leaving their posts straight to the ciphers. It's true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Been there, done that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've kind of covered a lot about what you do, what you represent. I think we've got a really good picture here that you've drawn for us beautifully. But it all comes down to wanting to create a stronger path for women in the hip hop space and in different cultures in general, because you can look at everything that you do, and even though it can all be tied, they all kind of exist in a little bit of their own realm. When we talk about hip hop in general, right now, I would say there's definitely been progress that's been made when you look where we are now compared to where
For
we
sure.
were like 15 years ago.
100%.
He's a little frozen. He'll come back.
I know what happened.
In particular, where do you see the hip hop space when talking about women within the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh man, right now I'm seeing women in communities organizing. I'm seeing it whether it's international, whether it's US. I'm seeing it everywhere. I think that's beautiful. It's going to continue growing. It's going to continue to flourish. I think one of the biggest things that I want to see is definitely seeing women use their voice as much as possible, not to be scared to say what they need to say. It's so important and vital. You have a lot of things going on in our scene that is not okay. And I think it's the time right now for women to really, really, again, use their voice and align things to make it better for themselves to be here and want to be here and not to be scared to get involved, love it, and then have to leave. That's a lot of like what's kind of going on, whether it's mental harassment, all these different things. Like, yeah, I think that is it's definitely changing in the right direction. And I just want to see more respect for women in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's so important.
It's real. That's so real. And I mean, we are making progress in that way. We're just not, I think, where we can fully say we're there yet,
Oh no, definitely not. There's definitely a lot of work. I mean, there's work within it, and then within yourself. Like, you find this beautiful culture and you fall in love with it, but it doesn't take away, like, there's a moment of this aspiration you have for seeing yourself different. So you get inspired, but at the same time, it's not healing you necessarily. You get this moment, this rush. It's not a counselor dancing. It's not, yes, it's a moment of rush, and it's a moment, but it's not you healing yourself completely. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in inner parts of ourselves. I'm here with my vulnerable time in my life to be, it's like my soft era is what I call it. But that's because I found a man that is beautiful and amazing, that can respect all the things and deal with my mental state when I'm going through certain things, you know, because every day is a journey within yourself. So there's a lot of that I wish we talk a lot more, whether it's the guys not upping their homies that maybe have done something that is not okay. You know, if you love that homie of yours, both sides, guys and girls, be girls, be boys, like, then tell them. Sometimes we have to lose people to let them know we're serious about um that being a change in their life, man. Like, this shit's some serious shit going on right now, and it's been here forever. And I praise God that I that never happened to me, but things have happened to me that I don't want to see happen to other girls coming in the game. I want them to be here and know that they can do all the things that they want to do. And yeah, man, I just yeah, just that's a lot of which I hope to see change.
That's truth. That's truth right there, 100%. I think that's a powerful message. That's a powerful message that I think needs to be communicated more. Um, and I honestly thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything that you've done, for paving the way, for taking time today to kind of give us a little bit of insight. Not just a little bit. You give us a lot to work with here.
Yeah.
It's very, very good today, very deep. Very rarely do people come on and give us like the real version of everything. I think sometimes like everybody has their, media trained answers and also just like the real version of stuff. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that you kept it so real with us today.
Well, thank you. I don't know how to be any other else. Like, I always say, like, I make fun of myself sometimes because I'm a dropout, right? I'm a dropout. And it's crazy to be able to be where I am right now. But the understanding of, you know, you're here for a reason literally is something so vital. I think that every human needs to take within themselves and strive to be and aspire to be the best thing that they could be, whatever that is, because God has already laid the path for you. You just got to find it and understand the messages that He's trying to give you. And you know, I just speak from the heart. That's at the end of the day, like, I may not be great at a lot of words that I would love to kind of share with people. Um, I don't know if that's just for me, like this intelligent versus like human thing, you know, because you could be both, yes, but I don't, I feel like I lack certain things in how I speak sometimes, but all I can do is speak from my heart. That's it. Like, take it, leave it, whatever the fuck, like, it don't matter. Like, you know, just love on yourself more and speak your mind, man.
Authenticity is key.
Thank you. Yes, it
Gotta be
is.
authentic.
As we're kind of like coming to a close, I do have a question that I'm curious about. Do you have any moments from Bgirl City that stand out to you? Because I'm always kind of curious
Mhm.
about people that throw events, and I'm throwing my first one this year. Yay.
Yeah.
And
Woo.
so I'm curious, like, as an organizer, as somebody that puts this event together, are there times where you're like, this moment that just happened,
Yeah.
that's worth it?
Yeah. There's one every single time. Two things for me. One, I'm so grateful that I finally got the one B girl that I wanted to wholeheartedly be at Bgirl City and have her presence there. I don't know her. I know her from videos. I know her, followed her through VHSs. Um, Again, I'm a top rocker. I love rocking, and you know, so to have Nadia this year
Ooh,
there,
that's
and
sick.
that was
That's nasty.
check off the list.
That's
And it was because of Rockefeller. I owe her my everything. Rockefeller sponsored getting her out here. Um, there's three things: being able to have friends with legends. Asia One is my friend. Rockefeller is my friend. Honey Rockwell is my friend. These are three women that for them, like me seeing them is why I'm here right now. Jess Scales is my friend. These women I heard talk. I would sit there and just watch their mouth move and hear them talk. And I take what they've given me to do all the things that I do now because I lived through them and the history that they've done for me to be here. So I appreciate them. And obviously all the other B girls and women that have paved the way, that have fought for us to be here. Then the next and last thing is every moment at Bgirl City, since I've had it, I've literally gone on stage and I have a moment where I'm just watching.
Mm.
So just get on stage, have a moment at your highest where you feel like you're high. You never know when it's going to be your highest, but I have gotten on the stage, I've looked out, and I'm always in awe of how many B girls are in the room, how many B boys are in the room, how many ciphers are going on at one time. And that right there is one of the most beautiful things that I could witness at my event.
That's such a fucking good moment to end on.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I felt that. I felt that
that
through
was
the screen.
boom.
The mic drop moment.
That was such a mic drop moment. Because I felt that. I
Yeah.
felt that. When you said that, I'm like, yo, that's a good fucking idea. I want to do that.
You
Yeah, I
have to
felt it
do
in my
that.
throat. I was like, fuck, don't cry.
Wow, no, that is a perfect one to end on. Damn, baby girl, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You
This
dropped a lot of wisdom on us today.
this was a
Thank
really fun
you.
episode. I mean, we
Thank
have a
you.
lot of fun episodes, but this, yeah, I think this was a special one.
I appreciate that. I am here. I am selfless in my being, and whatever you need, any organizer, any women organizers out there, however you need help, let me know. I'm here for a reason. God put that in my heart. This is the work that I will continue to do. And yeah, I do see Bgirl City going another 10, 20 years. And I can't wait to continue doing it. And I appreciate you guys. And I can't wait to see what, how your day comes out for your event. And I'm there if you need me. So you got it. Thank y'all for this
Perfect.
opportunity.
Appreciate
No,
you.
thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Peace.
All right, everyone. Peace.